Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, an essential subject from Vinaypedia. One who is fortunate to hear about the uncommon activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various incarnations as presented in the nectarean words of Srimad Bhagavatam, is certainly brought back home to Lord Krishna's kingdom, the spiritual world. Whoever hears these narrations in Srimad Bhagavatam eradicates all sinful reactions and attains all good fortune. When a pure Vaishnava speaks on Srimad Bhagavatam and another pure Vaishnava hears Srimad Bhagavatam from such a realized soul, both of them live in the transcendental world, where the contamination of the modes of material nature cannot touch them. Freed from the contamination of the modes of nature, the speaker and hearer are fixed in a transcendental mentality, knowing that their position on the transcendental platform is to serve the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada's books, lectures, conversations and letters offer a comprehensive presentation of this essential subject as seen in the Vinaycotes hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam category. An introduction from his books is given below in the following 16 quotes. Quotes from Srila Prabhupada's books. A person trying to be perfectly Krishna conscious by hearing the words of Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita certainly has all the dirty things cleansed from the core of his heart. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, Sito Darpa Emryanam. CC Antya 20.12. The process of hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord washes away the dirty things accumulated in the core of the heart. Srimad Bhagavatam 9.19. 25. By contact with material nature, the living entities exhibit varied symptoms of the disease of material consciousness. To cure this material disease is the supreme object of human life. The process that treats this disease is called Bhagavata Dharma or Santana Dharma, real religion. This is described in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore anyone who, because of his background of pious activities in previous lives, is anxious to hear Srimad Bhagavatam immediately realizes the presence of the Supreme Lord within his heart and fulfills the mission of his life. Chaitanya Karatam Ta, DLL 1.91. The pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees are recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam so that those who recite these pastimes and listen to them will become purified. Nitya Bhagavata Save, SB 1.2.18. As a matter of principle, devotees should read, speak and hear Srimad Bhagavatam persistently, 24 hours daily if possible. That is the recommendation of our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kairatanya Sadhari, CC Adi 17.31. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.6. 16. In India the principles of this science, of satisfying the Supreme Lord, were followed strictly. Even 50 years ago, I saw that in the villages of Bengal and the suburbs of Calcutta, people engaged in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam daily when all their activities ended, or at least in the evening before going to bed. Everyone would hear the Bhagavatam. Bhagavata classes were held in every village, and thus people had the advantage of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes everything about the aim of life, liberation or salvation. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.14. 2. By hearing the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, this false complexity of materialism is removed, and real peace in society begins, which politicians aspire for so eagerly in so many political situations. The politicians want a peaceful situation between man, and nation, but at the same time, because of too much attachment for material domination, there is illusion and fearfulness. Therefore the politicians' peace conferences cannot bring about peace in society. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7. 7. We have several times been requested by some so-called devotees to take up the 10th canto immediately, but we have refrained from such an action because we wish to present Srimad Bhagavatam as the science of Godhead and not as a sensuous understanding for the conditioned souls. This is forbidden by such authorities as our Brahmajay. By reading and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam as a scientific presentation, the conditioned souls will gradually be promoted to the higher status of transcendental knowledge after being freed from the illusory energy based on sense enjoyment. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7. 53. In this loka, it is definitely stated that spiritual rasa, which is relished even in the liberated stage, can be experienced in the literature of the Srimad Bhagavatam due to its being the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. By submissively hearing this transcendental literature, one can attain the full pleasure of his heart's desire. But one must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narada Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Vaisudeva. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1. 3. There is a sort of imitation of this reciting and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam by professional men, and their foolish audience thinks that they will get free from the clutches of material attachment and attain the life of frivolousness. Such imitative hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is a caricature only, and one should not be misled by such a performance of Bhagavatam Saptaha undertaken by ridiculous greedy fellows to maintain an establishment of material enjoyment. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.12 28 UK Deva Goswami had long ago stated the same truth, that at the end one must remember Narya. That is the essence of all spiritual activities. In pursuance of this eternal truth, Srimad Bhagavatam was heard by Emperor Parkade, and it was recited by the able UK Deva Goswami. And both the speaker and the receiver of the messages of Bhagavatam were duly delivered by the same medium. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3 42. Less fortunate persons are not at all interested in hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. The process is simple, but the application is difficult. Unfortunate people find enough time to hear idle social and political conversations, but when invited to attend a meeting of devotees to hear Srimad Bhagavatam they suddenly become reluctant, or they indulge in hearing the portion of the Bhagavatam they are unfit to hear. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1 2. If one wants to progress on the path of liberation, he should associate with Madhyams or liberated devotees, because in such association there is a full chance for hearing, describing and chanting about the name, form, qualities and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all of which are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. On the path of bondage, one eternally undergoes the repetition of birth and death. One who desires liberation from such bondage should join the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and thus take advantage of the opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from devotees and also explain it to propagate Krishna consciousness. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.26 39. One should not try to read too many books, nor should one develop the idea of earning his livelihood by lecturing on or professionally reciting Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 6. Srimad Bhagavatam is not a creation of the mental speculators. The sound of Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental, and the resonance of Srimad Bhagavatam is as good as that of the Vedas. Thus the topic of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of both the Lord and the living entity. Regular reading or hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is also performance of Bhakti Yoga, and one can attain the highest perfection simply by the association of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9 4. Srimad Bhagavatam is so made that one becomes at once engaged in the path of self-realization simply by hearing the topics. Although it is especially meant for the Paramahasas or those who are totally engaged in self-realization, it works into the depths of the hearts of those who may be worldly men. Worldly men are all engaged in sense gratification. But even such men will find in this Vedic literature a remedial measure for their material diseases. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7 8. Only one who is completely surrendered at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, depending fully on him for personal maintenance or even for maintenance of his family, can attain perfection by recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narrations of the pastimes of the Lord and his devotees. The process can be summarized as follows. The audience must be faithfully receptive to the Bhagavata message, and the reciter should completely depend on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavata recitation must not be a business. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.12.49-50. When a hungry man is given food to eat, he feels satiation of hunger and the pleasure of dining simultaneously. Thus he does not have to ask whether he has actually been fed or not. The crucial test of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is that one should get positive enlightenment by such an act. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4 5.